Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining in this video. So I've recently given this a good amount of thought, this idea a good amount of thought, and I finally decided that I'll be going ahead and creating a series where we'll be uncovering the doshas of the planets. Okay, and this is a very important thing to know because a planet can cause doshas due to you know there are a lot of there are a lot of doshas that are caused by different planets, and when some astrologer reads your chart, he or she is going to point out the dosha, but then not many people know which planet is causing the dosha. So it's very important that you understand the from where the dosha is coming, right? So that you can do remedies accordingly. Okay, and not all the doshas are curable. Some doshas are curable, some doshas are not. Some doshas are partially curable. But anyways, as astrologers, it becomes our responsibility to guide the client accordingly. Okay, so this is going to be the first video of the series where we would be looking at the doshas caused by the sun. Okay, and we'll be following the order of the weekdays, when we decode the planetary doshas. And remember, doshas can come from any kind of planet, irrespective of their nature, whether it is a malefic, whether it is a benefic. Doshas can come from anywhere and any planet. Okay, so let's begin with the dosha of the sun, which is not very common, but it is, it is very, very important to understand and rectify it if you have a Surya dosha in the chart. Anyways, when you learn about a dosha, see, this channel is all about learning. I want you to learn and decode your own charts. Okay, so when you learn about a dosha, you have to understand why that dosha is happening in the first place, and this is very, very important to understand. And if you have to decipher whatever doshas are there in the chart, you need to have a very good understanding of the Kaal Purush Kundli, or the KPC as they call. And it's the KPC is nothing but the general kundli, where the first house starts with Aries and the last house is of Pisces. Okay, so this is the natural house of the Kaal Purush. Okay, this is a natural chart of the Kaal Purush, not the house. I'm sorry. And you have to understand how the doshas come into place. Now, to understand, whatever doshas are there in your chart or in anyone else's chart, you have to first know the houses that are ruled by the planets in the Kalpurus chart. Okay, so the first house, of course, is ruled by Mars. The second is ruled by Venus. The third is ruled by it is ruled by Gemini. It is ruled by Mercury. Okay, the fourth house, of course, is ruled by the Moon. The fifth house is ruled by the Sun. The sixth house again is ruled by Mercury. The seventh house is ruled by Venus. Eighth house is ruled by Mars. Ninth is ruled by Jupiter. 10th is ruled by Saturn. 11th is ruled by Saturn. And then the 12th house is ruled by Jupiter. So you also need to have a correct understanding of the karakas when you are trying to uncover, or when you are trying to understand the planetary doshas, right? So the karaka of the first house is Jupiter and Surya. The karaka of the second house is Jupiter. The karaka of the third house is Mars. The karaka of the fourth house is Moon and Venus. The karaka of the fifth house is Jupiter again. The karaka of the sixth house is Saturn and Mars. The karaka of the seventh house is Venus. The karaka of the eighth house is Saturn. The karaka of the ninth house is Jupiter. The karaka of the 10th house is four karakas: Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and Saturn. Okay, primary karaka is, of course, Saturn. The karaka of the 11th house is again Jupiter. The karaka of the 12th house is Jupiter and Saturn together. So when these karakas are afflicted, and when the owners of the houses are afflicted, then the doshas happen. Okay, so as I said, in today's video, we'll be covering only the dosha of the sun. Okay, and to cover the dosha of the sun, you have to see which house does the planet sun rule in the KPC. Okay, and that house is, of course, the fifth house, or the sun in Leo, right? That house is the fifth house, or the sun in Leo. So what happens basically is, if you have the enemy of the sun either in the fifth house or in Leo, okay, if you have the enemy of the sun either in the fifth house or in Leo, then it indicates the dosha of the sun. And the dosha of the sun is known as, Jati Rin. Okay, Rin means the debt which you have to pay. Okay, Rin is a debt which you have to pay. It's a debt that you're carrying from past life. So it is known as Jati dosha. That means it is coming from your own people, your own caste. Okay. So the Jati dosha is caused by the enemies of the sun. And who are the enemies of the sun? The number one enemy of the sun is Venus. Remember, Venus debilitates the sun in its sign of Libra. Okay. Then comes Saturn. Then comes Rahu and Ketu. Okay, Rahu and Ketu are the nodes, and Saturn, of course, is the, it is the farthest planet away from the sun. Okay, so you understand the concepts, right? Now you need to understand why, why Saturn and Sun are enemies as well. But anyways, we are not going into the planetary stories. Okay, so what does what does Jati Rin mean, or what are the what are the symptoms of the Jati Rin? Okay, first of all, you will you will have a lot of disagreements with your father. That is very that is very certain. You'll have a lot of disagreements with your father. Okay, you will not see eye to eye with your father. You will not agree on a lot of things that your father says, or almost all the things that your father says. You will have a lot. If you're female, you could have a lot of disagreements with your with your father-in-law as well. That is also a Jati Rin. Okay, so it means you are you are having a lot of debts towards your father, right? And then you will have clash of opinions with your father. I've seen people having Jati Rin, getting into enmity with their father. Suppose the father puts a case on you, or you are putting a case on your father. That is also Jati Rin. Okay, it brings litigation issues as well. It brings problems from the government. It can bring relationship problems if Venus is involved. It can bring problems in career if Saturn is involved. Okay, and there are other symptoms of Jati Rin or the Surya dosha as well, and that is atheism. Remember, atheism is regarded as a symptom. It is not something to be proud of. Okay, now if you are an atheist and you say that I follow Vedic astrology, then you are doing yourself a great disservice. Okay, you need to have a certain belief system. Okay, if you're into Vedic astrology, if you're following Vedic astrology, you'll need to have a certain belief system. But you cannot say that you are an atheist and you are still a believer in astrology. It does not work that way. Okay, so atheism is known as Nastic in Sanskrit. And then I've seen people having this Jati dosha. They will have a small hole in the roof of the house. You'll see old houses, and they will have some hole where maybe water is leaking from one corner of the roof. Okay, so that is another symptom that the Jati dosha has come, and this usually happens if your Surya is afflicted by Rahu. Okay, a hole in the roof of the house anywhere. It could be a leaking roof as well. That is the reason you have these chemicals like Dr. Fix-It, the waterproofing expert, to ensure that the roof does not leak. So a hole in the roof of the house is a big indication of Jati dosha. And if you're having that, please plug that hole immediately. Otherwise, all your father is going to suffer a lot, or you are going to suffer a lot because of your father. Okay. Now, again, as I said, we have to understand the remedies before before going into the other planets. Okay. So what are the remedies for Jati dosha? First of all, even if you may not agree to whatever your father says, please respect him. Okay, respect towards the father is very important. Remember, you can disagree on everything that your father says without being disrespectful. Okay, it's very important. You should not be disrespectful towards your father or towards fatherly figures. It could be something that is said by your boss. Remember, Jati Rin also brings problems into career. So if your boss is saying something, if your fatherly figure is saying something, if your father is saying something, you may disagree, but disagree without being disrespectful. Okay. Similarly, the other remedy which I've seen working is that you have to stay separate from your father, otherwise your career is going to suffer. Okay, so if you stay separately from your father, then it becomes a very easy remedy. But then a lot of people have come and accused me, oh my god, you're telling people to separate from their parents. It's not good, it's not ethical. But what I would say is that I would suggest is that you should stay close to each other. Maybe you are staying in the same apartment, but in different houses, where you are not sleeping under the same roof, or where you are coming, you are staying very close by, where you are paying a visit to your father every day to ensure his well-being. So that is also known as staying separately. And if you're staying separately, you will see a huge, trajectory growth in your career. Okay. And then, if you are in a situation where you are in a family business, or your father is the head of the business and you're working under your father, or both of you are working on a partnership basis, then the remedy would be to have two separate offices. Even if it is the same business, or even if it is the same organization or the same company, please have two separate offices, one for yourself and one for your father, so that both offices are owned by the same business or by the same family, but they are run by two different people. Okay. So these are a few remedies that you can do if you have Jati Rin, or if you have dosha related to the sun. And remember, I'm not speaking it from memory. I have my notes with me. Okay, so it's not easy to speak everything, from memory. But anyways, I hope, the gist is clear, the dosha is clear. And please let me know if you want more information on this topic. And if you have Jati dosha, most of us have it. So if you have Jati dosha, please let me know what problems has it caused in your life, so that it helps me in my astrological research. Okay. So thank you so much for watching. In my next video, I'll be covering the dosha related to the moon. That is also very, very important. And as always, please subscribe to the channel, like and share the content if you think it has given you value, or if you think others can benefit from this knowledge. And please follow the remedies and let me know what course correction have you done if you have this Jati Rin or Jati dosha in your chart, which is caused by the sun. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon in yet another video. Namaste. Om Gurave Namaha.